Okay, we've got the elevator trim with a little indicator. We've got the rudder trim, which is very positive, the little indicator below, and the aileron trim, the same indicator. Moving up here are the fuel selectors. I said we've got 4 fuel tanks, 2 mains. This is not ergonomically correct, I suppose, this aeroplane. You notice that's on the 12 o'clock position is giving you the right hand main. This in the 10 o'clock position is giving you the left hand main. Yeah. So you would think they were like that, but they're not. They're not. It's Dakota.
Excellent.
So down here, that's the brakes, the handbrake, toe brakes, hydraulically operated. Press both brakes down together and pull the lock out, releases the brakes. We have no steering wheel. We have no means of steering the aeroplane. It's just either the engines and the brakes. Yes, so it's the engine. So we release the brakes, start it moving. You can use asymmetric power to turn. If you turn more power on the right, you go to the right. And if you just dab the left brake, it will help it round.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tail wheel is right underneath here. I doubt if you'll be able to see it. It's sprung-loaded. It's a cast-string tail wheel with a locking pin, a sprung-loaded locking pin that locks it in the lateral fore and aft. And you take the pin out by means of this lever here, which is sprung-loaded. You bring it up to a lock position. And now, when the tension comes off the cast-string tail wheel, the pin comes out, and it's allowed to move around. Caster.
Excellent.
Then, of course, that pin now will not. That will stay up there until the tail wheel comes back again. Where the spring. Well, as soon as you release it from this position there, as the cast-string tail wheel goes through the lateral position, the pin will lock it into the, which is what we use for takeoff and landing.
Oh, right.
So it helps us keep us straight just until the tail comes up.
Excellent. So moving on to yourself, how long have you been flying?
Oh, I've been flying, blimey, 1980 I think I started to fly. Yeah. I've been flying professionally with Air Atlantique. I joined them in 1987.
Right.
I learned to fly on this. One of my first aeroplanes on my professional license was this actual aeroplane. So
I'm actually doing my twin racing in a couple of weeks on a Citabria. So how would that sort of compare to Dakota?
It has 2 engines.
It has 2 engines, and your asymmetric is very similar.
Yeah.
The rudder, the tail wheel effect. If you haven't flown a tail wheel aeroplane, the DC3 has all the nasties of any other tail wheel aeroplane, namely ground looping. The fact that it's a twin engine can be a help. It can be a hindrance. Yeah. In a crosswind takeoff, you can actually use asymmetric power on the takeoff run up to a certain point when the tail's up, while the tail is down on the ground, you can see that there's very little airflow over the rudder, so you get a little rudder effect. As you can get the tail up into the air, into the airflow, you get more effect from the rudder.
Right.
So while the tail's coming up, you use a little bit of it. You lead with the interwind engine. So if the wind's from the right, you'd lead with the right engine, up to about what we call about 40 inches of boost pressure. You may have noticed on the takeoff run, the handling pilot applies the first.
Yeah.
The non-handling pilot is now calling out the pressure on the throttles at 40. He taps me on the back of the hand. I let go, or the non-handling pilot lets go, and then he sets the remaining 8 inches of boost. 48 inches of boost. These are supercharged engines.
Yeah.
And that's it. So above 40 inches, or as we're approaching 40 inches, the engines will be symmetrical.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them asymmetric for takeoff.
Quite an interesting...
yes, and I think when you're doing your twin rating, you don't actually do things like that.
No,
you
certainly not.
That, have you?
Not just yet, but talking about crosswinds, a fellow partner of mine on Flying News, Paul Brennan, he lives in Wellington, and that's quite an interesting airport for crosswing landings. Yeah, we've got some footage on our website, Airsidetv.com, so maybe you can check that out sometime. But anyway, Peter, thanks very much for the interesting flight today. Certainly, it's the first time I've flown on a Dakota, and we appreciate you talking with us today.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Peter.
Nice day here.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Thank you.